Welcome to another episode of the Underbelly Hours. Hi guys, as you can see, this is the first time we've had like so many people around this little table. It is going to be quite the exciting episode.
Yeah.
Lots of really good music to talk about. Lots of really good music festivals.
Yes.
Local music festivals to talk about and chat about. But first, as always, we just gotta do that intro. So let's get it over with and we can get on with the show. Hi, I'm Adela.
And I'm Dan.
And you're listening to another episode of the Underbelly Hours.
In my basement?
Take off your coat, stay a while!
Like listening to new music? Want to know a band before they get popular? Tune into the Underbelly Hours, Sunday nights at 6 p.m. on WRSC 88.7 FM, and discover the best of local, unsigned musicians. Don't miss out on the next big thing.
Yeah,
Cue intro.
Cue
All
intro.
right.
All right.
If you're watching the video portion, or if we clip this up at all, Josh, our tech supervisor, or whatever we want to call him.
I
that's
love
an
it.
official
Hey,
name,
there we go,
right?
our tech
Just get a
supervisor.
promotion or what?
He did.
The guy that we keep in that back room, tucked away, not on
I heard
pay
something
or
back there.
any. Yeah, that's his
Josh.
den.
Makes sense.
We give him a nice little water bowl.
Hey, what you're doing at the water.
Just toss a loaf of bread down there every once in a while.
Yeah. There's actually a chute, so I don't even have to come down.
It's
here
gluten-free.
to because
Totally makes sense now.
But yeah, so if there's any like video hiccups or anything like that, blame it on his absence.
That's true.
Now I'm relieved.
Damn it, Josh.
Damn it, Josh.
Have to
All
go
right.
play music. Oh my god.
But if you're listening to the audio, then just disregard that whole little rant. And welcome to the show. This is going to be a fun one. We got
Our pals. Our pals, Aaron.
not just our pals.
That's true. They're very important people.
They are very important.
in the local music scene. They're people who help cultivate it and grow it and promote amazing talent. We have of course, Brian Shamey from Chicago Soundcheck and the Daily Hero. Clap, 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 clap.
Clap, 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 clap.
And
The
then
self-proclaimed mayor of local music.
Yes.
No, not self-proclaimed.
He's the mayor of local music. He's just got to accept that, you know. And we also have Aaron Williams, who is not only a songwriter and a fantastic performer, but also the founder and promoter of Homegrown Arts and Music Festival, our beloved festival here in the suburbs. That's all about local music and nothing else.
It's true. Thanks for having me as always.
Yeah.
It's good to see all your faces
I know,
You guys
right?
too.
in person and not
It's
over
been
Zoom
so
or
long.
Right.
online or whatever.
No lag time between talking.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, Zoom was really running us dry.
Yeah.
I think it was running everyone dry.
Like having to drive here. No, I'm so happy to be here.
Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah,
Chicago
sorry.
traffic's
Right.
And it's
here
like
in
all of a
the-
sudden I'm using
the
gas
boonies.
again. This is weird.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so we're now on year 9.
Yep, year 9, and
Numero-
I'm really excited about that. I can't believe
whatever.
we've even made it this far, considering all the hurdles we've had to jump. Not just last year, but every single year. It's just been a growing scene, and it's been really interesting to see how everyone has been evolving over the years, and we're finally going to come to ahead next year at the 10th annual. We've got a lot of big plans already cooking for that milestone. So this 9th annual is the last one that's going to be in single digits. So that's important, and I don't know if you know this, but the number 9 is a very spiritual number. It's a number that's in religions very often. It's a perfect number. 3 times 3 equals 9. And I hope that we can bring that essence and that kind of vibe to the festival this year.
True. But let's back it up just a second there, because I'm sure like 90% of the people listening right now already know what Homegrown Arts, 90% of the people already know
See
what
what you
Homegrown
did
is,
there.
because either you just know about it or you have listened to us blab about it for so long now. But for those 10% who are still in the dark, who still don't know about the wonders of Homegrown, could you give them a recap about just
Absolutely.
what it's all about, you know?
Homegrown is all about the original artists of Chicagoland. I mean, simple. But over the years, I've been in the scene a long time. And I've been doing exactly what people are doing today, just like trying to record music, trying to get gigs, trying to gain a fan base. And it's really hard when all the major venues and all the major festivals just keep turning you down year after year, submission after submission. And I first took it, as I always say, I took it personally at first, but realized it was the original musicians who were getting snubbed. People are taking less risks these days on music, and kind of the sign of the times, and cover bands seem to be what they think is drawing or what they think people want to hear. But what I've learned through Homegrown Fest through these 9 years, people just like music. People just like a beat, a good melody, and above all, talent and passion. And as long as you have those 4 things, it doesn't matter if you're playing a song that's familiar or a song you've heard for the first time. And I think that people forget that discovering their own band that isn't famous to support and to get excited about, that legacy is kind of being lost somewhere. So I started Homegrown Festival to nurture that and to give the original musicians an opportunity not only to perform, but to bring all their fan bases together, their friends, their family, and to get great people like you guys to support us, to help us get the word out. I mean, Dan won the Battle of the Bands back in the day.
Ooh, back
that was like the 3rd annual, and now we're at the 9th, and you've been a part of it.
I didn't even win that one.
Oh yeah, you
the
did.
3rd one. Yeah, we got.
You won in my eyes.
Yes.
Aww,
Thank you. I appreciate
look
that.
at
Yeah.
You came in. That's right. You did
Came
come
in a close second. We lost, in my opinion. Oh, hey, look, it's our tech guy calling.
How about that?
How about that? Yeah, decline.
But that's the point of it all, is to make those connections, build upon them, and Underbelly Hours has been in the works now for what, 4 or 5 years now?
It's gonna be year 5 next year.
Wow, that's what I'm saying. 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Brian wrote the first article about Homegrown Festival like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Whoa!
And so we've all
the
been,
third one.
we've been all connected this long, and it's still growing. And we've hurdled the greatest hurdle of all time, the pandemic, and here we are together again, just continuing on, and it warms my heart.
But speaking of connections, though, too, like I think that is one of the best things about Homegrown, is that, like you said, people bring their own fan bases, but people come for the whole day, and at any given moment there is 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 performers or acts, performing, and people can wander and really like cross promote each other, and I know that like we met at Homegrown. I met a lot of musicians at Homegrown. Like a lot of musicians met each other at Homegrown. So
bands have formed, relationships have formed, companies have formed, radio stations have built, upon it and utilized it as well as I have. You guys have introduced me to artists too, and it's been like a back and forth thing, and it's been really. It's just been really fun. I just can't tell you how much fun it's been for me as a promoter and the person who's kind of observing everything 24/7, 365 days a year, to figure out who's like making some noise out there in the scene and support them and give them the opportunity. But it's also nice to see that it's working, and it's also nice to see that it's actually grown the musicians. It's grown my career. It's inspired the Chicago Soundcheck to become a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, look at all these like passionate people. Like, these aren't the only ones either. You know what I mean? And like we have
Which
a whole.
now we pull from all the time. Chicago
Right.
Soundcheck.
Yeah, quick plug to Chicago Soundcheck. I mean, whenever, we need to figure out what's some new music, like who's releasing some new music, whenever we're trying to figure out what kinds of shows are going on. I mean, we use Chicago Soundcheck all the time. I'm going out with my friends on Saturday, and I don't know where to go. I go to Chicago Soundcheck, and I see what kind of... Yeah, of course, dude. What kind of events are happening. Because if I'm going to go spend money, I want to see some live music, why wouldn't I go support someone who's more local, who maybe I haven't heard their music before, and try and discover someone new, someone who might become my next favorite band, and that I would have never known about were not for like the Chicago Soundcheck. So I just wanted to go
Absolutely.
there.
And even if you look through the calendar on the Daily Herald or Soundcheck and you don't like, I've never heard of any of these bands, but I want to support original music, just go to your playlists.
Right.
I mean, Brian puts these Spotify playlists or an MP3 playlists together that give you exactly what you're questioning. Like, who are these acts? Well, they're right there for you. Check them out.
That's very
awesome.
true too. So you can like sample before you go.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. That's what I was going to say. Is like one of the most fun things for me is on Friday, digging through all the social media and all the emails and stuff that I get, and like posting. Like we do our Fresh Tracks post every Friday, and it's like all kinds of new releases, singles, EPs, albums, videos.
Amazing how much
all kinds
comes
of stuff,
out,
just
too.
all in one
Yeah.
place. And then anything that's on like Spotify, I shift it over to the playlist, and
Cool.
so people can just listen to it all in one place. So.
Yeah, that's a great asset for Chicagoland.
You know, I want to make it easy for people to discover. Like, you guys are all artists. I'm not. You know, but to discover like who you are and you know what's going on.
You
They
are
might
an
know
artist,
the name,
Brian. You're a writer. That's art.
Yeah.
Writers,
well,
come on, don't
not a
discredit
musical
yourself.
artist.
But you're right, because the general audience, I mean, musicians will be a little bit more willing to give, you know, unknowns and independent acts a chance and check out their music just as a camaraderie kind of thing. But a general public, general audience, really, like, they need it as streamlined as possible because they have so many other things coming at them through social media or whatever is going on throughout their day, that it's kind of like, if it's not just one link, one click away, that they just kind of like, yeah, well, I'll get to it, and then they never do.
Yeah, you've got to find ways to cut through the noise,
right?
You know, and we're trying to do that, and you guys are all trying to do that. So,
we're trying.
Chicago Soundcheck's all about like kind of working hand in hand.
Right, for sure.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah.
It really is, because you know, you can cry about the scene and, like, you know, really fight for it. But if you have a number of people who support what you're doing, and anything you're doing, really, it makes more of an impact, for sure. That's why I appreciate you guys so much.
No, for sure, dude. And I think, too, what's important to mention is, you know, the fact that we're all based in the Chicago suburbs, too, I think is important. Because historically, or at least from what we've been noticing over the years and stuff, Chicago, the suburbs are the places where, you know, cover bands have the most plays, where there's kind of a little bit more division and not as much unity among musicians. Chicago has, it's more niche groups for sure sometimes, but there are, like, more groups fighting for local music and independent music to kind of get its voice heard. Here in the Chicago suburbs, I'm super glad that there's, you know, things like Homegrown, things like Chicago Soundcheck, and things like what we're doing, because we're all trying to get the voices of the suburban musicians out too. When I just don't know why, it just seems like there's a lot less people who are willing to give local music a chance out here as opposed to Chicago. There's a little bit more of a discovery element about, like, if you go closer to Chicago versus here.
Well, I think there's a business decision made there. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're in the city, you might have like younger people who are more interested in going out every night, and you know, people out in the suburbs sometimes can be less likely to go and check out music. So, you know, for a bar, it's like, well, okay, if we have this band that we know people like, people will come.
For sure.
Whereas if we try somebody people don't know,
you just kind of question it.
I mean, I don't like the mindset. You know, I think everybody should be willing to, like, give me new musicians a try. You know, there are so many talented bands out here in the suburbs, and that's the whole reason that we started covering this stuff in the first place in the Daily Herald, just because there were so many up and coming bands that, like, people didn't know about.
True.
Well, if I'm finding out about them, you should find out about them. So,
I mean, when you go to a bar, even if there's not a band or a cover, you go and sit down and have maybe an appetizer or 3 or 4 drinks, especially if you have a date or your significant other with you. It costs a lot of money to go out these days.
It does.
And it's just like, I can't sit down at a restaurant or a bar or anything without spending $100 to save my life. And it's crazy. And people work really hard for their money in Chicago. And we kind of lose a lot of money too living in this state. And it's really hard for people to take risks. And that's why, because they know when they walk into that venue, they're spending $100 to $150. And they want to know that they're going to have a good time. They don't want to waste their night. So that's why people go to Zeppelin, and that's why people go to the wedding kind of band, or the
wedding band,
or the band that reminds you of going to prom or something ridiculous like that, because they're like, oh, I know what it's like to go to prom. Oh, I know what it's like to be in the 80s or the 90s, or I know what it's like, and it's like familiar, and people are more apt to take that risk because it's already familiar to them. They know, oh, cool, I can spend $150 here and know I could probably have a good time. But I think things like Homegrown are starting to get people to realize that that's not the way.
Right. And actually, kind of to piggyback off of that and also ask you guys a question, one thing that we've noticed, and we've talked about a little bit with some people, but obviously things are just starting to open up back, so we can't notice a trend too much because we haven't had the time necessarily to, like, study a trend. But we both think, and I apologize if I'm not speaking for you, Dan, but I think we both think that there's more interest right now in going out than before, and more aptitude to at least give local music a shot, because people are so sick of having nothing to do for a year
Right.
and a half. I was wondering if you guys both have been seeing that, or if this is just something that, you know.
We have more ticket sales off our website at this point in juncture than any year of Homegrown, for sure. And usually the online tickets for Homegrown aren't...
Mic drop.
Yeah. They aren't...
Can we drop this mic?
No!
They aren't usually substantial. Not that it's like substantial, but there usually isn't a heck of a lot of online sales. Usually people buy the hard tickets or walk through the door. Ticket sales and online aren't usually that great. I'm surprised to say that the online tickets this year have been pretty darn good. So in that realm, yes.
Excited. They're craving live music.
Yeah,
You know?
I did the road to Homegrown a month or two ago, and there was like literally 200 people plus that went. Maybe, and maybe like actually there was 175 people went just to see local band.
Right.
And
that was the Battle of the Bands.
And that was just like a Battle of the Bands.
That's a great crowd.
Yeah,
175?
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Nice, okay.
And maybe a third of them were from the bands. The other 2/3 were people who came to check it out because they saw the promotion, or they're from Fort Lakes, or they're from the area. But I remember I was talking to the bartender, Chris, after the show, and he goes, "I didn't recognize one face in here tonight, and that is really rare." He goes, "Every single person almost in here has never been here before." So
they weren't just all the regulars. Yeah.
It was magical because of that knowledge, and I think that's gonna happen with Homegrown this year too, just because the ticket sales. 3 bands have already sold out of their tickets and asked for another packet. And I guess I've been talking to the people who work at Base Camp, and a lot of people have been asking the bartenders and asking the owner, what is this Homegrown thing, who don't know what it's about. And then a lot of people from Fort Lakes who have been at Homegrown are all coming back. They always come back. It's so cool. They love the art, they love all the original music, and people are always surprised and shocked how much of a good time they have at Homegrown when they take that risk and just come through the door and pay the $20. But what we were saying before is seeing 25 acts 25 different times out of the year isn't going to happen for an individual. You're not going to go out and see 25 local bands, pay the $10, $15 cover every single time, spend the $150 every single time at the bar and getting food, when you can just do it in one day at Homegrown. And you can literally have the same financial investment, but you get to see everyone who's kind of doing their thing. That's kind of really catapulting this summer. I think I booked a show where most of the acts, unless you've played Homegrown before, there's a lot of great acts who've played already, but the ones that I've picked that have never played, they're the ones really making some noise this year and doing some good things.
Okay, so you have seen more interest this year, to sum up. Okay.
As far as the crowd, as far as the bands, I had a harder time. I don't know if it's because we're in post-pandemic land and people are under-rehearsed, or they're disappointed because their album wasn't released when they wanted to, or a lot of spirits got crushed by taking, and that's with everybody on everything.
Yeah.
Right.
But especially if you're an artist who had big plans for 2020, which we all did. We all had this vision that 2020 was going to be a rebirth.
Right,
It's
2020 vision.
Remember the 2020 vision BS I said?
Man. Oh, boy. Oh.
Maybe it's 2022 vision.
Yeah.
But, all of our plans, our spirits got crushed.
Yeah.
And I don't know, in the aftermath of that, I got 100 submissions, but a lot of, it was hard this year. It was harder. And I don't know why that is, but I'm assuming it's because of what we just went through. We couldn't get together and play.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if people are holding off, too.
Yeah, I think a lot of...
When you were taking submissions, we
fresh
still
out.
didn't really know.
Yeah, it was fresh right out of the...
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
what was
very
gonna open, what
excited
wasn't.
that I got to pick who did submit, because all these acts are going to bring it. I
That's
definitely
good, yeah.
I definitely got the best 25, and I got a lot of submissions from people in Chicago who literally straight up said, "Oh, we won't bring anybody," but they were good,
Right.
and I was like, I can't book you then. You have to bring people to
Why
the
is
show.
there that divide?
Well,
You might
if
as
you
well-
live in Chicago, you don't come out to the suburbs.
Well, for Chicago, people who live in Chicago, though, I have to say a lot of them don't own cars, or
That's true. That is
rarely use their car
True.
or whatever. So that is,
There's this thing called a train. So.
yeah. But
That's pretty-
is there a train that goes out to Lyle?
There is, but it's inconvenient. I mean, it's
Mm.
expensive. You have to Uber it to the train station, get the train ticket, then Uber to the festival, and to and fro.
Right.
And it's kind of like a long, expensive process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I live in the city. I went to Columbia College, and then I spent the remainder 4 or 5 years after I graduated in the city. The suburbs might have been London. You know what I mean?
It's just,
Just
the way
don't
it
go.
works a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
You kind of look at the suburbs like it's something you just so far away. It's like
Until you are
you're on the
a
highway and you're
musician
in
or
there.
someone
Yeah.
who like loves and supporting local, because I think we both drive so much either to go gig or to see local people, whether it's Chicago or the burbs. But
that enthusiasm
Yeah, I mean-
is what gets you out there. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it is expensive, though, I have to say, especially now driving. So I can't blame people. But let's
I blame everyone for everything.
let's
No,
Dan
Dan Josh.
Huh?
Oh, it's
Blame
Josh's
Blame
fault.
Josh.
Oh
of
yeah,
course.
you hear that, Josh?
Yeah.
I know he's sneaking.
He's here.
Just got here.
He got out. He got out of the closet. Get him.
All right,
Can we still blame Josh?
No, we can. Get in here.
Come on in here,
Josh,
bud.
That was great.
Josh.
All right. Yeah, you can check my spotty work, and camera's probably out of focus and everything.
Oh my God, it's the man
But yeah.
with the hat.
Hey, go
I
ahead.
checked. The mic is doing something, so that's good.
All right.
Right, I know we're
We've been recording. That's
Yeah, we're
awesome.
recording.
Recording.
Yeah, I hit the big red button, which in every other industry you're not supposed to do.
That's funny. Yeah. Hold up, let's circle back a little bit now to Brian. So we asked the question to Aaron, have you seen increased interest? Brian, have you seen increased interest? Because I know when we talked before, about you coming on the show, you're a little hesitant. Granted, it was 2 months back.
Oh, right,
because you said, you're not really sure about how much writing the Chicago Soundcheck will be doing about events, because post-pandemic, who knows what's coming up, around the corner.
Right. Yeah. Well, because when COVID hit,
Right.
everything, the first 2 weeks that things were shut down, we had to rewrite everything that we had planned ahead, and it essentially just became a release outlet, because we didn't have shows, so it was okay, we're writing about people doing live streams, we're writing about new releases and all that stuff, and which was great. People, I feel like we were able to focus a lot more on music as opposed to events, which I think was interesting. I got to meet a whole new set of musicians, because people reached out to me, and I'm like, oh, cool music, I like this. So let's do an article about it, or share it on Fresh Tracks or whatever.
Fresh tricks.
Yeah. Now we're starting to pivot back to events, which I think is it's been pretty cool for us. When they first announced that they were opening, the floodgates open, and it was just oh my God, so much. But yeah, now we kind of have a calendar planned for the next few months. Stuff that we're covering, the big Chicago music festivals and everything, the suburban festivals. And now around that we can start focusing more on just events, not someone's releasing a single, So
Is this the portion of the podcast where we completely shit on Lollapalooza's lineup?
We can shit on all those
yeah, I'm not
lineup
going.
every
I'm very proud that Homegrown is interrupting
Insane.
Journey's set.
Go see Journey. Go see Homegrown, please.
Don't stop supporting
Don't.
local music.
There it is. Nice.
Does
That's
Journey
also
still have the
awful,
same lineup? Is it actually Journey still, or is it just?
I don't.
Who knows?
actually
It's one of
know.
those.
One
Actually,
member,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's all their sons.
It's all their songs.
I don't think it is, Dan, from what I remember, because I had to do research on this for some reason when I worked at a local booking agency, because they wanted to do a Journey night. I had to find out when they were releasing some of, when they released a couple of their albums, and out of curiosity I looked at the lineup, and it was changed 10 times.
Yeah, they're
I'm
one of those
sure-
bands where it's
Yeah, no one from the original lineup is still there. And at that point, it's just why not just split up and make a new band? Why
Should call
is
themselves
this-
Journey Starship.
because money.
But it's
Yeah.
just
You got
so
the money, you
lame.
got the
Because
branding.
You say
got-
Journey, there are people who will go.
Yes,
Right.
you say Journey, and then it's
If they're not the same people they saw 30 years
all the
ago,
moms
you
start
know?
pouring their wine immediately. They're rushing out the door.
The dads get their cheap beer. But yeah, and
Boo butts.
I'm
They're
curious.
pibbers.
Hold on. I do want to spend just a second more on soundcheck,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
now I'm just curious too, from a media perspective. Did you see more hits on the website during the pandemic at all, or?
It would depend. Some of it would depend on social media. If the bands were promoting the stories and the releases and everything,
Right.
and if I was able to, because there have been periods in there when there's just been so much that I've had to kind of pull back on
Of
social media a
course.
little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, like the hits have kind of grown. Like on a regular basis, they're higher than they were like 2 years ago, which is good.
That's the goal.
I think also just people being at home more has been great. You know, and we ran that series of live streamed concerts in the spring of 2020, and that was cool. Like a lot more people than I expected. So I just kind of figured like, oh, who knows what Chicago Soundcheck is? But you know, the artists really kind of drew. You know, and that was fantastic, and it was a whole lot of fun. So doing the interviews and the performances. So
For sure.
yeah.
What has been some of the more like, I don't want to say favorite, but or like standout or interesting finds that you've come across through like people sending in music and covering new releases? Like, have you discovered any weird, new, interesting genres that you've never heard of before? Just because there's like so much music creation that was happening over that time.
You know, actually, one of the bands that I'm really excited about is one of the ones that's on Homegrown, Jackson Adams.
Nice. Yep, they're
Really
really
stoked about
fantastic.
that.
They won the battle. They're the battle
Oh right,
winners.
yeah.
And they won.
Another
It wasn't even
win
a
for
close
war.
second. They killed it. Actually,
Yeah.
they just
They're
really.
really good at crowd
they-
like engagement. They just really got people going.
They had the whole bar clapping.
Were you
like,
guys there?
Yeah, well,
I
was-
unfortunately had
Okay.
a gig.
Yeah.
They were
I was there.
fantastic. You were.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
What was
As always.
what was their sound overall like?
They were like an
You.
indie rock thing. You know what I mean? They rocked. They definitely had like an alternative indie rock vibe to them.
I want to say
They had a lot of pop sensibility too
Yeah.
to them. They just were really energetic, and they also had their kind of slower ballady tune kind of tunes too. So pretty eclectic.
I would pin them a little bit as like more early Maroon 5 almost vibes, kind of. Mixed in with a little bit of I just had the band and I forgot. But yeah, think pop rock for sure. Very energetic and the guys,
Great songs,
Yeah.
great vocals too. They all harmonize and good
The
vocalists.
harmonies were really good, I have to say. Yeah.
I was discovered. Aaron Wagner actually turned me onto them.
Yeah.
He actually
He's a
got
super
that.
fan of them. It's so nice.
Yeah,
You
I
wanna
see
know
this
why?
on social media all the
He
time.
is because he introduced all them. That's why they're a band. It's because of him.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
And
So he gets a little,
And he
Love
he
that.
hangs it
prideful
like a
over that.
jewel. He loves that fact. And he introduced all those guys. At least I heard the story that he had a huge hand in the band being formed.
Nice.
Maybe not musically speaking, but just introducing them as friends.
We love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm kicking
I've-
myself because my buddy Max Williams is a photographer. He knew them and he kept saying, "You should check them out. You should." Oh, I'm shooting their show. You should check them out. And I was like, "Okay, I'll get to it. It never did, and then now it's like, oh my god, I love them.
They're
So,
fantastic. I really like them too. And
sorry, Max.
yeah,
But Max Williams is an excellent photographer and videographer.
cool.
Good guy for musicians to know.
It always feels good when you put people together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've put a few couples together. They all crashed and burned, but while they lasted, it was a fun time. It was like, hey, you're welcome. And then they crashed and burned. And then they were like, I'm sorry.
Speaking of Jackson Adams, though, do you want to throw a song of theirs into this podcast?
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Put some Jackson Adams in right now.
Do you guys have a song in particular that y'all want to highlight, or what was
Look at
the-
this.
Pulling up the
titles.
fresh tracks
Yeah.
for the playlist. Check out Chicago Soundcheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Follow all their playlists on Spotify.
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 Oh.
I don't know why I keep saying it like that. It's a
fun.
habit now.
Because Spotify.
I just like butchering the English language.
It's already butchered.
Yes,
This
true.
is true.
Hey, very true, very true. It was like, I'm trying to remember the name.
Some of these you
of
like.
one of them.
The one that they were pushing, I believe, is Over the Mountain.
Over the
Right?
mountain.
And through the
Okay,
woods.
let's do it.
You're listening to Over the Mountain by Jackson
Adams.
Adams.
Jackus?
By the
Jackson
Hornets.
Adams.
Jackus?
By Jackson Adams. On the Underbelly Hours.
In my basement.
off in the distance. Where else could we go? All our high hopes, all our hopes and dreams remain. They always seem the same. We were young, we were just children, singing in the sun. Over the mountain, where we used to laugh and sing. Where else could we go? Why'd you wait in line for your time to shine on? Shine on. Over the mountain, where we used to run and play. Where else could we go? We were free, innocent as children could be. So much still unknown we could feel. Why'd you wait in line for your time to shine on? Shine on. Why'd you wait in line for your time to shine on? Shine on. Shine on. Shine. Why'd you wait in line for your time to shine on? Shine on. Why'd you wait in line for your time to shine on? Shine on. Yeah, time is wasting now. Will you turn your light on before nightfall? Rise, you can't escape it now. Better turn your light on and shine on. Shine on. Shine on. Over the mountain in the sky. Over the mountain.
And we're
With
back.
Jackson Adams. Dum, 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 dum. Isn't that how the song goes? I'm just kidding.
I'd be like, oh, that's Jackson Adams. That is a chant idea for you at your next show, presented by Aaron Williams.
Thank you very much. It's already copywritten.
So
All royalties.
let's circle back up for a second again to Homegrown, because we like gushed about it, but we didn't say any details. So, what time is it starting this year? Are you still doing, bringing back the artists this year, the visual aspect? How's all that looking?
Yeah, we have, right now we have 11 art vendors booked. Still looking for one more. We actually have one more slot if anyone's interested. There's going to be 10 acoustic artists and 15 bands. And it all starts at noon. Lost Pyramids starts the show off on the main stage at noon, and the Hand Pan Project kicks it off on the outside Harvest stage.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is that the reason why you got into Handpan? Is that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, every year I go to Homegrown, I end up buying a brand new instrument. Yeah. I have a cigar box guitar, and now I have a handpan,
Nice.
thanks to the Handpan Project. Ted Munier.
Continue.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
sorry.
And Ted actually asked to do a song with me, not at the Homegrown, but actually do a song with me, maybe record or something. So
Fun.
I don't know how that's going to work out, but that sounds
Connections.
fantastic. Yes. And it's going to go all the way till about 10 o'clock, 10:30 on the outside stage. From the start is the only band that's going to be on the Harvest stage, headlining that acoustic stage. And then inside the headliner is the Banknotes. We're going to end it with some reggae, jam band, blues rock.
Those guys are crazy. I love
are
them.
fun.
Those guys, instrumental geniuses, those guys. And everything in between is very eclectic. We have a lot of different bands. Mel Sinise is a pop group. Mudflower is
She's so talented, too.
yeah. Mudflower is kind of like a blues rock band. Sunriser is kind of more of an indie rock. They have like whims of like college rock in the 80s and 90s, and then they have the indie thing going on pretty strong. Great harmonies
Really
by
excited
those
about
guys.
them too.
Really excited about that. Curious Grace and Black Rabbit, they bring such an eclectic sound. They're like rock and roll Irish music.
They're fun.
They're like a rock
I'm
opera.
back here going, oh yeah, them. Oh yeah, they're really good. Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's just true. We're like the
Like, I
marriage
forgot about them. They're really good.
I'll tell you something about Curious Grace. They are probably the best promoted band on the festival this year. They have just absolutely went over the top, killed it with their online promotion. They've sold almost 100 tickets.
Oh wow.
And
Nice.
If I remember correctly, didn't they do that the last time they were there too? Like,
well, they did the live
were-
stream. They sold out their tables for the live
Yeah.
stream. But they were the
remember
number
seeing
one
that.
draw. I think maybe I actually don't remember, but they're a top draw in the live stream stuff. Great band. I mean, they've been around. They've been playing together a while. I think there's 2 married couples in the band,
Cute.
and they tour and they have music videos that are made in Europe by people in Europe,
Oh.
and
And they have a
people-
great name, too.
and they're the only group on the live stream last year that brought in people from overseas.
Ha! I love.
They brought in
Wow.
they brought in a
Yeah.
lot of people from Dublin. I'm not even kidding. Like,
I just remember they were like on social media, like they were so excited and
Yeah.
they were jumping all over everything that like we posted about it at the Daily Herald, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet them in person.
they're very cool, and I'm really excited about them because their enthusiasm and passion was unparalleled, really, to this year's Homegrown. They really killed it. We got my guys, the Black Bolts. They're gonna be back.
Love the
Henry
Black
and
Bolts.
Shukin Company and Matt Shukin. Those guys have been performing now. I think this is their 4th or 5th year, and they've been kind of took the baton away from North of 8 when North of 8 disbanded. They were kind of like the local band from like the Downers Grove, Westmont area that continually played Homegrown. They played the 1st all the way to maybe 6, and the Black Bolts kind of took that baton, and they've been kind of like the band that I've always know that they're going to play, not because they draw well, not because they're really good friends of mine, but they always kind of have a new set every year of great music, and they really are prolific, and I like that about them a lot. They're
Well,
very
all
good
those other
musicians.
things are true as well.
Yeah, exactly, right. And just cool guys. The acoustic stage is, can't forget Demi Clara Band. This is her first time she's playing as a band. She was on the acoustic stage for 2 years. She helped me host the live stream last year. Now she's got a music video out and some music. recording an EP in
I
the
can't
studio right
believe
now.
that music
So
video.
she's going to be debuting and putting out on the stage a lot of music.
really cool. Go follow Demi.
Yeah, Demi's cool.
She is.
She's going to be testing out a lot of music that she's going to be doing in the studio.
Cool.
Jack the Acquaintance, who's going to be on the outside stage, is actually releasing an album at Homegrown,
Nice.
which is totally amazing. So I'm really happy for
So that's like
everyone's
his
in the
release
show.
show?
That's going to be his release show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that. And everyone in between. I mean, I could sit here and just talk about all of the incredible artists that are playing Homegrown.
But 12 noon to 10 p.m., all local music at home.
All from Chicagoland. Mostly the burbs. Mostly the West burbs. I mean, we have a couple from maybe the city. They're like from the burbs, but they live in the city now. But
Right.
everyone is from our demographic. It's going to be really interesting to see everyone come together. Because this year is going to be unlike some recent years where everyone doesn't know each other.
Right.
There's going to be some connections made this year because none of these bands have been connected before.
Yay! We love to hear that. That's so fun. Out of curiosity too. So it's the summertime. I asked both of you guys this on the radio. And I kind of want to repeat this here now because I'm thinking about summertime. Thinking about summer jams, summer songs. We have summer festivals, Homegrown Festival. People just want to go out and they want to have good music to listen to while they enjoy their summers. So I know that Dan just asked you guys, you specifically, Brian, about like a band or somebody who you have heard of recently that like kind of introduced you to a new genre or just intriguing band in general. But what are some like good pump up songs that you guys have been rocking out to lately? And you can just pick one that comes to the first thing to the top of your mind. But a good pump up song to like, I don't know, get this
Pump
summer
up.
really going and pumped up. Yes, I like that word for some reason.
I am pumped up about the band Marina City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're on the verge of doing some incredible things.
Didn't they get all like the funding for their album or something?
did,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and
And,
they've got some sort of a big plan with that
Yeah.
Ryan's been very shady about. No, not shady. But like
Secretive.
He's like, yeah, secretive.
Elusive. Well, that's good though. Keeps people like us wanting to know, and it
Yeah.
keeps our interest going. So that's very smart of him, and he knows what he's doing, And so I'm really pumped up about them, not just as a band, because I know that they're on the verge of doing great stuff. But man, that single, that one when you called me the other day,
Right.
that was like, oh man, I mean that song reminds me of summer just because it was on the playlist for my booking last year because they played last year. And it was a new single last year, but it kind of just reminds me of putting the convertible top down, cruising through the lights of the city on a nice warm day with your significant other sitting shotgun or driving or whatever, and just really enjoying life and enjoying a good summer night. And Marina City always has that vibe to me. I don't know if it's a summer vibe, maybe a summer vibe, but it reminds me of
Just happy pump up. Ooh.
yeah. So I think that last single that Marina City had was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that was a really good one, and they played at Homegrown.
Yeah.
Was that?
They I mean, they did just a
was gonna say,
fantastic
I
job.
believe it's addicted.
I'm addicted
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
to
what
your
that's-
tragedy.
There we go.
That's a
What about you,
great song.
Brian? What's the song that's been stuck in your head? rolling on
Yeah,
your
so
playlist?
I think I mentioned that Tiny Kingdom when we were talking last time.
Yes.
Tiny Kingdoms, just like I don't know what they're like what pushed them in this direction, but like they were doing a lot of pop punk, and they started to add a little bit more like power pop into their sound. And the last 2 years, like every spring, they've dropped the single that is just like. I started listening to it, and I have to listen to it on repeat. And like you said, taking the top off the convertible, like it's I call it Jeep music
Jeep
because
music.
I had a Jeep for like 16 years, and it's the kind of music that I always would have listened to. And it's funny because I mentioned that, and like my wife and a bunch of my friends are like, "Oh yeah, that's Jeep music." Like they know, they hear something, they're like, "Oh yeah, that would have been cranked really loud," back in 2008.
Yeah.
But
what color was your Jeep? I'm trying to picture it.
It was green.
Right now.
Green,
Green
the
Jeep.
tin top, kind of standard. I wanted a gunmetal blue one, but
Ooh.
yeah, it was very disappointing. But I'd wanted one since I was 16, so I waited 10 years and then just got what I could get. But
Nice.
but yeah, like Tiny Kingdoms just is really like blowing the lid off, but the one that really hooked me was Daydream last
That was a great
April.
song.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
thought
think,
that stuck in my head.
and even though like they released a new one this year, like I find myself I keep going back to to that.
To Daydream.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a great single.
It's so catchy. Like
They were supposed to play
still
Homegrown
gets
last
stuck
year.
in my head.
They had back out for some personal reasons, whatever, didn't work out. But they were booked for a few months before that happened, so I was like disappointed that they couldn't play. But I've been in contact with that band. Maybe the 10th annual.
Maybe. I'll talk to Jake for you.
Yeah. I think he already said he's going to try and do it because they wanted to play this year, but I think the drummer was in a wedding or something, and they couldn't do it or something. There's some excuse.
Right.
Or,
Was that a little saltiness?
no, absolutely not.
I joke.
10th annual, guys. You guys can do it. I love that band too.
Yeah.
No. That's the thing when it doesn't work out. A lot of bands
I was
that,
joking, for sure.
but I get a lot of bands who
Sorry,
just
were you
can't do
joking?
it for whatever reason. But I always have them in mind for next year. There's a lot of bands I didn't book previous years that have gotten better that I have booked the following year, just because of the fact of it didn't work out or whatever. But longevity is a key to success in the scene anyway. So as long as they
all
keep
about the
making
long
music,
game.
anything is possible.
Yeah.
Should we play one of those songs that we
Let's
just
play.
mentioned?
Let's play one of those
Which one
songs.
do you guys want to?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can you describe
Aaron
what
had
happened
rock.
for our podcast listeners?
Oh,
I just
One,
won.
2, 3.
Rock always wins. All right, cool. So we're in
Brian
Marina
has
City.
Marina City
some
it
nice
is.
rusty scissors that got demolished.
Yes.
The almighty
Tiny
rock.
Kingdoms will play you later. In my car all the way home.
Go on Spotify and listen to everything Tiny Kingdoms did. They're a great band.
But for now, Aaron won, so that means we're playing "Addicted" by Marina City on the Underbelly Hours. Sorry,
That
do you want
sounded
more time?
so like exhausted.
I know you were like exasperated.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you
Oh,
We
okay.
made it to
do what
this
I
point.
asked, so
sorry, one more
I'll
time.
fold the laundry myself.
Damn, shots fired. Also, how do you know what happens in my house? We're now gonna play "Addicted" by Marina City on the Underbelly Hours.
I didn't like that one either. But in my basement. There we go. Play the song.
Josh, just play it. There we go.
Heaven's not right. I feel good, but I am not fine. Don't know if I'll make it out alive. That's a worry for another time. Another time. So tell me, am I getting better or is it finally working? I feel it's like this a feather, but I keep packing on the pounds and I lie. That's a worry for another time. Another time. Am I
Here's how the
I'm
song goes.
addicted to your tragedy.
Does Josh ever get on camera?
No.
Oh, no.
We barely let him out of that room. He escaped. That's why he was late. And I couldn't find him for days.
You found my hole.
No, sometimes if the screen's not too crowded, he'll hop on if he has something to say when we're getting into like a deep dive or some kind of big rant or digression into some topic. He'll have some words of wisdom from time to time.
A funny quib.
We allow him to open his mouth.
Oh, yeah?
Quiet back there.
This is not the time.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Welcome
hope
back.
so, Dan.
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Dad, I appreciate you guys so much and your Sight for Sore Eyes, and this is so awesome to get out of that quarantine and get into Dan's basement and do this interview with y'all.
Go on,
What everyone really wants to do
Another
after
basement.
quarantine. Right into my
I
little
knew that it
musty
would be
basement.
we'd be completely on the other side of things when I made it to Dan's basement for this interview.
Right.
So here we are. We made it. Yes. But in all seriousness, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
as always.
absolutely, yeah.
It's great
Thank you
to
guys
see
for
Brian.
inviting
Good
us.
to see you guys.
Of
Seriously.
course. And actually, if you guys don't mind, we chat all the time about Homegrown and Chicago Soundcheck when you guys come on, but like, I don't know how often we actually chat about like y'all and how you guys are doing. It has been a crazy year. We're on the coming out of a wild time. What was
I saw a show.
you
I
did?
saw a show finally.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, I got really
That was
excited.
What show did you see?
But yeah, after I was in the habit of going to shows like once, twice, sometimes more than that a week.
Right.
And February 2020,
Nothing.
screeching halt. So yeah, it's been killing me.
I saw a show too.
But I went to go
What was
see.
all of our first shows? Yes, let's do it after the pandemic. Go.
Okay, so I saw Philip Michael Scales and Nikki Morgan. They played it at
At
Hey
Hey
Nani.
Yeah.
At
I
Hey
wanted
Nani.
to go to set so badly.
Oh my
Hey
god,
Nani
they
is
were
a great place.
so. But
We
you know,
gush about that
I've
place
seen him
real
play
quick.
before.
Yeah.
But this was just so
And
satisfying.
Nikki
Like it was.
Morgan, just damn, both of those.
Yeah,
on the
wow!
same
Like I had
set.
no idea. She was on his song "Oh Hallelujah" that he released like a year and a half ago. But I had never listened to her just solo. She's so much fun, so charming up there on stage, so talented. And then he came up and he played with the trio, and then she jumped back on stage and they duetted a couple songs. And it was so nice. I shot pictures. I can't wait to get those processed. Sorry, they're not out there yet, but I'll get to that. So.
Aaron, what was your first show after?
I haven't been gone to any shows yet because I've been
But you've
busy
been
playing
in
them.
shows.
Right.
So
What was
I'm
your
excited
first
about
show
that.
you played?
Oh, what was the first show when I came back? You know what? I think it was House and Music with Demi's band.
nice.
Oh.
Way back in, man, that must have been April or May or something. I think that was my first show where I did original music back, where I did a complete set of original music and kind of done my thing again instead of, doing the cover thing in the restaurants or venues or whatever as a solo artist. But I'm definitely down to do more of that. I mean, I've done a lot of, just cover shows by myself just because I have a set of two sets of music and been doing a lot of that. I just got to play in Wisconsin recently. I did a lot of, played the Elm in downtown LaGrange, beautiful place. Done a lot of private parties, a heck of a lot of private parties. And it's just been nice to be able to do that thing and to connect with people again. But you know me, I want to play my original music. So as far as like that goes, I've only played probably 3 original sets so far. But hopefully I get to play one of these original songs for you right now. Not right now, but during this podcast.
Sure.
I have some lyrics that I just wrote that I'm really excited about. I'd like to debut the song here.
Yeah, I just wrote a little song in the car on the way over here. So.
Yeah, you want to grab his guitar too? Hop on it after.
Can you teach me how to play it first?
Yeah. It's called Driving.
Adela, what was yours?
My first show back. Oh man, Broken Robots.
Oh, you
EP
went?
release party, yes,
Yes.
and Martyrs. Oh my god! And that was the day that Chicago opened up too.
Right.
Like it was the day that the what was it like?
June
June
13th or
yeah,
15th?
It was a Juneteenth thing. June 13th, 14th, 15th. that same day, Chicago opened up, so everyone's just like feeling the crazy energy from that. Martyrs was still, kind of, they were operating at 50% capacity, but still everyone was so excited. And then Broken Robots came up on stage, and I am so impressed by the fact that they got so much energy out of a trio. They don't have a drummer. The drums are all pre-tracked, and yet the energy is so infectious. They're so tight. It's like the volume levels are perfect. I was blown away.
Well,
Absolutely
Tony is
blown
like
away.
a genius with
Right.
sound.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just
Oh my
hearing the recordings, he did
Yeah.
all himself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he runs sound at Martyrs, too.
That's
Or
true.
he used to. I don't know if he
Yeah.
still is. So
He ran sound for a while at
Yeah.
Martyrs, so
So I'm sure he
knows what
kind
he's
of
doing.
Yeah, I should have not been surprised. But
make some little tweaks.
it
Yeah.
was still surprising, like they were incredible. And at the end of the set too, they had one of their friends hop on stage. I think his name's Mikey Everything, and he started rapping over one of their tracks. It was just so cool, such a cool collaboration because they already have some of that like hip hop influence in their recording style. So good. Oh my gosh. Yes.
No,
What was
I've
your
been
first show
fortunate
then?
enough to talk to those guys a couple times, and
They're
I
amazing.
love them. I love their
Wow.
spirit. I love their energy.
And
You
their
know,
their
just their
sound
message,
is so
you know?
fresh too.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
sound's something completely.
It's got a
different.
little bit of everything, honestly, which is
Right.
really nice.
Mm-hmm.
My first show was, official show, I guess, was the one and only Pino Farina
How did I know you were going to say that? My goodness.
at Hey Nani, and it was spectacular. I mean, the guy always kills it,
Yeah.
but this night was just absurd. I wanted to just give up music right away.
What's the point if Pino
vocally
Farina's
he was just in another world, and I don't think he messed up a single note on guitar. And then he gets behind the piano. They had a nice big little baby grand piano up there, and just then starts slaying on the piano and doing all this crazy, like, his falsetto, just like he's like harmonizing with himself with these overtones. I don't know. Sounds like it. He's got such a pure resonant sound, and
Yeah,
I could gush for days.
How does he go? Like, how is his falsetto that pure? It's just like beautiful. It's a work of art.
I was able to kind of corner him before he go to take all his press photos,
Yeah.
whatever
And all
shoot
his
they were doing.
photos with all of his fangirls.
All his fangirls.
Oh my
and
god,
all
he's
that
got
stuff.
so many.
Well, because
fangirls. Wow.
he also brought the band up for
Yeah.
a couple songs at the end. But I did not have enough time to ask him when he met the devil and when he sold his soul to him to achieve what that man brings to the table.
And
But
he
yeah,
just
so-
released some new music too, didn't he?
Yeah, he just came out with a new
Yeah.
single called Run Out, and I think there's another single that's going to be in the works. It sounds like he's following the plan that he actually was mentioning when he was on the podcast. He was our first episode back, and we got into the whole like singles versus EP versus album debate, and and
He had an interesting
was saying
idea
that,
of like. Sorry, go for it. I was talking over you, sorry.
yeah, can you cut that out? Can you knock it off? No, he was saying like, yeah, he's probably siding with the singles thing, and that he records. It seemed like they were going to record everything together as like an EP, and then just kind of pepper it out and release it single by single. Which it seems like what they've been doing.
Yeah. Well, I liked his analogy a lot, like a TV series almost. Like
That was mine.
Or your analogy, sorry.
Thanks.
Well, your analogy, Dan, was really cool. I like the idea of like, because if you really love a show, you're gonna wait in anticipation for the next episode, and the anticipation kind of makes that feeling of when you finally watch that episode better. So I think that's a really interesting idea of like, releasing a bunch of singles, making your audience wait for it, kind of like bringing a little. Sorry.
Yeah, great idea.
Yours. It was a good idea, Dan. I'm sorry. I thought.
I was really proud of it.
Sorry, Dan. You're the man. Dan, you're the
Right
man.
now.
You're the man,
No, stop.
Dan.
Stop it. Can we just?
Mom, Dad, don't fight.
I need 5 seconds just to cry a little bit. Can we cut the recording real quick?
In any case, Pino Farina.
Yes. No, amazing show. Amazing time. And hopefully, I also met the manager of Hey Nani. He will be on the show
August
15th.
Nice. Very cool.
So we'll get to hear all about the workings of that place and all the big plans that they got coming up, because they seem to be like another emerging home for original music out here in the burbs.
I know that this isn't like a promotion for Hey Nani, but like they do have a really cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting concept there.
I love seeing a show there.
So, more coming soon.
Sponsorship.
To you. Yes.
Sponsored.
Yeah,
by
Hey Nani, if you ever want to, throw
The
some money
Daily
at us,
Herald.
we'll just keep talking you up.
That's a really good radio voice right there.
Oh, thank you.
Do it again. Well, you just did something really fun.
Now he's on.
Oh no,
That
I'm
was the
sorry.
spot.
It was over. At least you have it recorded.
Man, I used to be a theater major, and yeah, like
Hey!
it's gone. I lost it in that 20 years. So.
No, you never really lose it. It's
Yeah.
always there. I don't know how I'm talking like I'm a theater major. You're a theater major here, not me.
I was never a theater major. I wasn't that crazy.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
liked
You-
theater. I just
you were
liked
in-
acting.
You were in productions, too.
But honestly, I never even wanted to do theater. I wanted to go more on like the screen and stuff. But those opportunities were a lot harder to come by.
Yes. Speaking of those opportunities, this is a perfect segue because Aaron Williams was just on set of a movie. Would
is
you like
true.
to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
Just make you seem even more cool to our listeners, you know? There you go.
My wife, she was doing work with Soul Productions, a film company, particularly the head of the film company, Mr. Robert Alaniz. And she worked with him on a couple of his films even before I met her or him. And when my wife and I started dating, he was working on a film called Mind Over Mindy. And I actually went to a couple screenings of his previously filmed right before that. And at the time, I just released my single Ash. So I was like throwing my single around shamelessly around this like party at Fatty's in DeKalb. There was like an award ceremony. I think it was at the what's that theater in DeKalb that's really famous? The whatever it is. I can't believe it's escaping my name.
I'm forgetting
my
it too.
memory. But anyway, we're at Fatty's having a little pre-party, and I'm throwing my single around, and the director, I guess, put it in his like 100 disc changer at home, and like a couple weeks later, boom, Ash comes up on his thing. He's like, "What the heck is this?" Takes the CD out, and it's me. And he actually like kind of freaked out and like called me and was like, "Hey, do you want to write a song for my film?" And I was like, "Awesome!" So Ashland actually drove down to the Peabody in Memphis, Tennessee. He's an Elvis collector, and there's like this big Elvis collector thing going on at the Peabody. We took the opportunity to check it out because we were going to Nashville anyway. So we kind of detoured over there to Memphis, met him at the Peabody, and he just signed me on the spot and said, "Let's write this song." So I wrote the song in West Hollywood, and then recorded it at Rax Track Studio, and now it's in the film. Now we're a couple of years later. I'm at Two Brothers, and Steve Parks, the main actor in Mind Over Mindy, and one of the main actors in this film that I'm in now, was at my gig at Two Brothers. And him and I just jokingly said, "I want to be in your next movie, man." He actually jokingly said, "Well, there's this part where you're like a homeless guy and you're like sitting in," he was joking. He's like, "You're just sitting in trash and like surrounded by these rodents and stuff, but there's a funny line in it if you really want it." I think he was joking because that's not in the movie. And I was like, "This is me. That sounds awesome. I'm in here. I'll take it. I'll take it."
Yeah.
To my surprise, the director caught wind of it, and I actually maybe messaged him. I was like, "I heard about the scene when I'm a homeless guy."
Please let me be.
I was like, "I'd love to do that, but it's really happening." I think he was like, "What are you talking about?" To my surprise, he writes a complete. The filming for the film is almost done. He rewrites a scene into the movie, so I could be in the movie.
That's so sweet.
And I was like, "That's so nice." And
Kind
like,
of a big deal, man.
and like, I'm like the open mic guy or whatever. I get to play a full original song. I play a song called "Fighting For," and then there's like this little skit about me doing the open mic or whatever. It was so awesome. It was a lot of fun, very fulfilling, and it's so awesome that I got to be a part of it. I mean, Ashley's doing a whole documentary on the making of the Mind Over Mindy film, which is more about the ins and out of making indie films in the Chicagoland area, called A Dream Film. And she's also doing all the promo videos for Homegrown this year, and she always is a great support with that stuff. So when we see all the videos that are be coming out in the next week or so, my wife does all that stuff. She's working on it really right now as we speak.
And how can we go find her stuff?
You can go
if
to-
we want to promote Ashley Williams.
Yeah, Ashley Williams, my wife. She's the videogirlpro.com, videogirlpro.com. And she does all kinds of stuff. You know, she has blogs that she writes about, and she has behind the scenes for Homegrown, the movie, as well as a Dream film and all the other projects that she's doing. So yeah, you can definitely check her out at videogirlpro.com. So that's how I got kind of wrapped up in all that stuff. And the film is finished editing now. It's called Honest to God. It's a faith-based film, and he's done a string of these kind of faith-based films, and he's actually gotten distribution worldwide from doing these films. Nice. And Honest to God is going to be on streaming platforms. You can find Heavens to Betsy, the other two films that I actually provided music for as well. They're on streaming sites as well right now too. So it's going to be really cool just because it's actually out there, and it's actually being filmed. Like, you see the streaming numbers, it's like, wow, like all those people saw this movie. And The Mind Over Mindy is really cool because it's never been released on streaming or DVD, and it's going to be released this fall. Nice. And it stars Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec. The Soup Nazi, Larry Thomas, is in the film. He's also going to be in Honest to God, Larry Thomas, the Soup Nazi. The Soup Nazi. And you know what? I don't mind saying that to him because a lot of people embrace it, but no one embraces it more than Larry himself. Like, he knows that that's a gift. That being that character and having the opportunity, he doesn't look at it like, you know, some actors will probably stick their nose up, like Harrison Ford with Han Solo and stuff or whatever. Oh. It's like, you know how many people would have loved to be Han Solo? But it was you, man. But he like despises it. He doesn't want to talk about it. But Larry's not like that. He embraces that his fame comes from the Soup Nazi, among other things. He's a pretty prolific actor. He was in Austin Powers movie. He was I think I knew that. He had a talking line too. He was the dealer. Whenever when Austin gets 21, he goes, "Hit me." Or he goes, "Danger's my middle," or whatever he says when he goes. He gets 21. Maybe the second. I don't remember if it was one or two. But it's when they're sitting in the casino. Larry Thomas is the card dealer. He's the dealer.
Okay.
Sweet guy. I mean, he's really cool. I got to meet him during the Mind Over Mindy stuff, and hopefully I get to meet him again when we do the Honest to God promotion, and hopefully the screenings will start sometime early next year, maybe even later this year. I don't know what the plan is. Right. But I'm in debt to my wife for introducing me to all those people, and I'm really, really thankful to Steve Parks, the actor, and Robert Allen, the director, for being my friends. You know, they believe in me just like I believe in them, and it's great that we share that. You know, it's great.
It's all.
You've seen him on stage.
Yeah.
You've seen him on TV.
Yeah.
Now you can see him in a movie.
And I'm really excited about it because I've never been in a film before. I've never seen myself on the silver screen, and I don't know how I feel about this yet. We shall see. I might have a big grin on my face when it happens, or I might faint. We shall see what happens. The fates will tell.
It's one of those moments, too, I'm sure, where it's like, I don't know if you got this when you saw yourself on film, but I just think about the time when, like, I heard myself first, my voice, like, being, like, on a recording, and I hated it for, like, a hot minute there, you know? Did you get that? Did you get that? Like, where you're like, oh my god, that's actually me on a movie. Like, that's that unknown weird repulsion of, like, you know?
I was at the Patio Theater in Chicago. It's a world-famous theater. Yeah. It's kind of run down now, but it was, like, the cream of the crop back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And it still stands today. And Mind Over Mindy's premiere screening was at this theater. And it was the first time I ever heard my song. It was the first time I actually was a part of anything. There was red carpet, there was photographers, there was some press there. Larry Thomas was there, and all the actors were there, Catherine and Steve Parks and everybody. And it was just a real thrill, but I didn't really hit me until we're in the theater watching it, and then boom. Not only does my song kick on, but he plays pretty much the whole, my song is like this whole section. They played the whole song in the thing. And then, right when the credits hit, boom, the drum hit, and then my song kicks on again. And I was just like, be still my heart. He didn't tell me the song was in it twice. Like, not only was it, like, in the film, but it kicks off the end credits, too, which is awesome. What's that?
Yeah. So do you get paid twice?
Publishing royalties have been there. But whatever. I mean, I'll be telling you, that's
so cool, man.
Doing the commercials and the films and being a part of ASCAP and like letting them know what's going on and having them track, it's not like this profitable thing, but it's also not like non-existent. It's nice to have
something come in, you know.
It's nice to have many avenues as a musician, which is what you need as a musician. You can't just be the guitar guy at the venues. You know what I mean? You can't just be if Homegrown was the only thing I threw all year, I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Right. The reason Homegrown works is because my whole life and world is engulfed in being a producer, being a performer, being a booking agent, being a promoter, and then just like literally just being a connector, I guess, is like, for lack of a better word, a super connector. And it's been very fruitful. It's been nice. It's been really cool to be in a position where I didn't give up and I can do this. Because everyone asks me, how can you do this still, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, how can you still do all this? And like, oh yeah, it was easy. I didn't stop.
Right.
I didn't give up. I didn't say,
I was
I didn't
confused
throw in
when
the
people
towel.
stop.
Right. And when it's your passion, too, I mean, you do it because you love it, you know, and because you see the effects it's having on people.
And I got my record deal back in 2007 when I was going to Northeastern and Harold Washington. I was going to 2 schools to get my master's degree and be transferred to Kalamazoo for music therapy. I was going to do music therapy as a master's, and I was literally in it. You know what I mean? I was like passing all that, because when you go to Columbia College and then you go to get your master's, there's like 20 hours of gen eds you didn't take that you need to take to get into a master's program. So I had to go through college again, junior college again, more or less. And I did a couple of things at the university. I also did a couple of things at Harold Washington. And I was like almost done with that part of music. I felt like, oh cool, I spent my whole part of my 20s and my late teens being like Mr. Selfish person and just being like me, going out and like doing this, wanting this. You know, when you're younger, you're so hungry and you just like are focused on yourself. You know what I mean? And then when you hit your 25, you kind of look at the world around you and you're like, all right, cool. The secret of success isn't focusing about yourself. It's really giving instead of receiving. And when I came to that realization, when I finally hit 25, 26, I wanted to give back that way. I wanted to give to music therapy. I still wanted to be a musician, but I also wanted to be, a profession. I also wanted to give back to people. And as sad as that sounds, to be in a profession like that, I thought it was going to be very fulfilling. And I was really excited about doing it. But I got whisked out of it because I got a record deal. And that record deal is what sparked everything. And I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't get that opportunity of that record deal in 2007. I would not be here. I literally got flown out to Venice. Not Italy, California. I flew out to LA, went to Venice Beach, played. I think the cafe I played at was owned by Bob Dylan. I didn't see Bob Dylan, but I think the cafe was actually owned by Bob Dylan. I played in this cafe. Dang, I can't remember it. What was the name of it? It was like the Something Street Cafe. It was in Venice. And got signed on the spot and recorded in Pachyderm Studios in Minnesota, where Nirvana recorded In Utero, and got to mix it down at the Sound Emporium in Nashville, and that's where REM recorded The End of the World as We Know It. Like my 2 favorite, Nirvana and REM. It was like a dream come true. And my engineer up in Minnesota actually interned the Nirvana sessions and was like there the whole time, and like,
can you imagine?
Just like had all those stories.
Imagine being the intern for the...
He was the van guy that picked up Nirvana from the airport.
That'd be pretty fun.
He like picked up the band from the airport.
Well, I don't know how much... I would say it's much more fun probably being around them as musicians. I don't know how much fun they were as people back.
Being in that studio was really awesome, not just because of the pictures. I stayed in the master bedroom that Kurt and Courtney stayed in, and there's like relics of like plaques of like Nirvana. And it was just like so cool. It's like, well, where am I? Because it's like in the middle of the woods and kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's just north of Rochester and south of Minneapolis.
Right, but the idea is too, like, if you never take a chance on something, if something's presented to you, if you're passionate about something, if you don't take that chance and go for it, who knows what opportunities you'll miss?
I mean, I would say that I'm just as fulfilled taking that opportunity. I mean, it's been... Being a musician is any profession, especially if you're an entrepreneur and doing it on your own and you don't have like a corporation or a bunch of other people working behind you. It's a constant struggle. You're constantly reinventing yourself, as much ups as downs. And it takes a certain kind of stamina and passion to go through it all. And I guess I was just made for this, you know what I mean? And I love it every day and I have no regrets because it keeps building upon itself every year. It's so cool.
For sure.
See, that's why I do what I do. Because when people feel that passionately and they want this to be their life, if I can help with that, that's what I want to do.
And you absolutely have, my friend.
Cool.
Nice. Do you guys mind if we do a little bit of, I'm curious to see if you guys have any advice for musicians, because, I want to keep in mind that, again, though we try to push the Underbelly hours to people who don't know the local music scene yet, there are a lot of people who listen to this who are just musicians in Chicago, Chicagoland, suburbs, whatever. You guys both are people who are well known to them for the most part too. You know, your book Homegrown, you know, you're the writer for Chicago Soundcheck. So if you have any advice to young musicians now coming out of this pandemic and everything, I guess what's like the number one piece of advice you would give a young band or musician right now?
That's a great question. You want to go first or me?
I have to think about it a little bit.
Cool.
Sorry, it's kind of a bigger
No, that is a big question.
Yeah.
I was
But
curious.
that's a great question. The best advice is to play often. And form a band. Have that gang of people that you're in a band with so you can have and grow together, but also play with a lot of people. You don't want to be pigeonholed either. You just don't want to like learn this or that. A musician is supposed to be well-rounded. An artist is supposed to be well-rounded. You're supposed to experience a lot of things to have the perspective to interpret it through art. And if you don't have that experience, then what are you trying to convey to the world? Dig deep within yourself. Don't sell yourself short. Don't think that what you're thinking or your simplest of emotions are trivial, because they're not. Really try to speak to your audience as an artist. Every time I pick up my guitar and I start strumming chords, the first question I ask myself is why? Why am I doing this? Why is this important? What is this? Why are these 3 chords different than anyone else who's played these 3 chords over the course of history? Why should I even waste my time and anyone else's time by even presenting music to them? And you got to find that answer within yourself before you even start. And that comes through experience. It comes through being true to yourself and like knowing that simple is truth. You don't have to make it so complicated. Mistakes, human error, make perfect music. You don't have to be a squeaky clean production for it to be interpreted well. The Ramones contest to that. I mean, that first Ramones record is pretty raw, but man, is a classic. And it's so perfect for them. And don't be turned off. When you go in the studio, don't beat things over the head. Just make it natural. When you perform live, don't get down on yourself because people didn't come or your guitar player played in the wrong key during a solo or something. I mean, these things happen. You can't fight over it. You can't break up your band over it. You got to let it go, because 2 shows from then, boom, you have it. And you can't grow if you keep harping on the band and keep breaking up and giving each other shit. So let things happen naturally. Simple is true. Stick to your guns. And don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough. Because everyone's always growing.
Yeah, seriously.
Everyone is always growing. Even the greatest musicians will say they don't know anything. So if you're always growing, then you're always a master as well. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I mean, to build off of that, I mean, I think one of the most important things is like, don't give up. And I mean this in like all aspects of your music life. Like, you know, don't give up performing, like obviously making music. You know, if you have something to say, you know, you have to get it out there. And people want to hear it. You just need to find them. And, you know, sometimes people feel like they're just like beating their head up against a wall, but... And I know getting in touch with like the press and getting booked at a show and stuff can feel like, you know, you're just screaming into the void. It's hard, but just don't give up. Keep trying. Keep doing what you're doing, and be real. You know, put yourself in your music. Don't just try to write something that's going to be catchy and fun. Like, just be honest. You know, and I know when I've had interviews with musicians, some of the best ones I've had have just been somebody who was. It wasn't canned answers. It was real. Like, it was a real conversation that ended up spinning off into like other conversations in other areas, and like, and you find out something about the person, not just like the question that you asked.
Right.
You know.
So remember, I think you're also saying like, you know, remember what you started for, too. When you're trying to get booked, when you're trying to get shows, when you're trying to do things. If you need to take a break. But remember why you love it.
Yeah, like don't just do it to be famous. Like have that passion and follow that passion.
Yeah, you're only going to get famous 2 ways. You're born into fame, or you are just exceptionally passionate, and that's the only 2 ways in. That's it.
Wow, look at that. I feel like with that, is there any other question you want to ask?
Mind if I play a song?
Yeah.
No. Don't you have a new single coming out?
Oh yeah, I guess I do have a new
Yeah.
single
Well,
coming
of
out.
course we'll do the plugs and chugs.
Oh,
but
right,
since
okay.
no, but since Aaron's about to play
Did you
his
say plugs and chugs?
plugs and chugs, right? Plugging and then we'll chug along to the
I'll
next.
bring the beers. I'll bring the beers.
Wait, is this the I've never said this to you before. Plugs and chugs.
No.
Oh, look at it.
Hey,
I
high
got a
school
road
math
master.
teacher used to say that.
It's a rope.
That's where I got it. I got it from high school.
It feels nice to not have to remember
It
those
was
everywhere
Mr.
you go now.
Spears.
And he's got back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It was just
Aw,
focusing. It was
nice.
just focusing.
All right.
It'll go away.
So I'm gonna be looking down at lyrics because I just wrote these today. I have been singing this song for a little bit, but I think I got something cooking here. So it's called "Love Finds a Way." And when you're in a happy marriage, there's not a lot of bad times. So now I have to start telling stories about heartbreak and start telling stories about all this stuff because it's not really prevalent in my life. But it's actually become a storytelling kind of thing for me. And I've been actually doing that a lot with my writing. Everything that used to be so autobiographical, which is not always, doesn't always have to be the case. So this is a song I wrote called Love Finds a Way. And I think it speaks a little bit in this post-pandemic world because we definitely need to find love again. Remembering yesterday, you stood your high ground, lift both our voices, echo around. Feel so alone, less by your side, crumble our mountain to the great divide, to the great divide. Looking back at what went wrong, and all I do is wonder. Bent to forget these rugged bridges that we've owned. Still have our health and we still have each other. Ooh, oh, ooh, our love finds a way. Love might find a way. Live for today. Stand up with your might, before it falls to the grave. Echo through the night. Yeah, love stands by your side. Well, I feel your heartbeat across the great divide. Through the great divide. Looking back at what went wrong, and all I do is wonder. Bent to forget these rugged visions that we've wronged. Still have our health and we still have each other. Ooh, oh, ooh, our love finds a way. Love finds a way. Love finds a way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! Thank you very much.
Nice, very nice. I hear that kind of, I don't know, man. When was the last time we talked about this? The last time that we talked about some of your music in WRSC, you mentioned that you're going for like sometimes more of a folk country stuff. Super hear that right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Definitely like
Yeah.
makes you want to move. I was over here dancing. Della was dancing.
I have a little song.
I was trying to get your attention. I'm like, should we have a dance party behind you?
That would have been great. Would have liked that.
Just like pop in, like love finds a way, you know? Like,
It's good, man. I like it.
Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be playing that one at Homegrown. I'll be playing kind of more towards the middle end of the day, and I'm really excited about performing as well as being there to experience everyone else's music as well.
Hell yeah.
I
Nice.
love this shot. It kind of makes it feel like a PBS sessions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Talking Homegrown Festival today.
Yeah.
It's going to be Saturday, July 31st. We're going to start the whole event at noon. We're going to have 15
Yeah,
original
and then like
bands,
fade of like a
Yeah.
picture. 15 original bands.
10 acoustic artists,
Yeah.
and 10 to 12 art vendors. And I'll be honest with you, there's going to be nothing like it this whole entire summer. It's the biggest celebration of original music and artists we have here in Chicagoland. Hey, this is the time is now to support us. The time is now because we're out of here. We're out of the pandemic almost. We're getting together. We're trying to get back to normality. This is the best way to come together, experience each other again, and not just that, but support some of those talented people that are from our area. I'm really excited about it.
Sweet. All right. Yes, plugs and chunks. So let's. Sorry, I'm sorry I said that.
Is it mine or yours?
Oh yeah, no, I was just moving it a little bit out of the shot for when you.
Let's start with Brian. We'll go to Aaron. Brian, how can people find out more about Chicago Soundcheck and everything that you do?
All the music around Chicago. Check it out at chicagosoundcheck.com. You could also read some of our stories at the Daily Herald. We are also on Instagram and Facebook at chicagosoundcheck.com.
Nice.
At Chicago Soundcheck. Yeah.
Aaron.
You can find my original music at aaronwilliamsmusic.com. You can also find me on social media. I think Instagram, it's at aaron.williams.music, and on Facebook, it's Aaron Williams Music page. I think it's Aaron Williams Music page.
Aaron spelled with 2 A's.
Yeah, double Aaron. And
Aaron.
we're going to be featured in the Daily Herald and Chicago Soundcheck at the day before the event. I'm really excited about that, and the week leading up to the event. And we're actually about to go do our interview right now at a place very secret and undisclosed, like Dan's basement.
I don't even know.
No one can know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story for all the bands involved and everything, it'll be in Friday's paper.
Oh, that's
next
exciting.
Friday's paper in the Time Out section.
Yeah, and it's going to be really great. Who will be on the cover? Who will be on the cover? Homegrown is at homegrownartsandmusicfestival.com. You can get your tickets there. You can discover all the links to all the artists that are performing. And you can also check us out also on social media. I think Instagram, it's at Official Homegrown Fest. And on Facebook, it's Homegrown Arts and Music Festival. Like I said, this is one of our most exciting years. It's the last year that's single digits. It's going to be a thing from here on out. Once you hit 10 and go on, then you're like, you got some dirt under your wheels.
Yeah.
You got some history. And not only that, we got, I'm not exaggerating, probably over 1,000 people who have been a part of Homegrown Festival, whether as a fan. I mean, if you're talking about the fans too, I mean, thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands.
I was going to say thousands probably.
Thousands
less
of
than,
people
yeah.
over the last 8 years.
Right.
And then if you count the live stream, we had a good live stream last year, and then we're going to be rebroadcasting that live stream as well for Infinity TV. We're going to be unleashing, I'm starting a new company that's going to be really big next year. We're going to be doubling down on our Infinity TV idea. We're going to have a kind of a separate entity, and we're going to have a lot of different ideas through that. And I think we're going to be starting a production label that's going to be already cooking. I'm working with a very talented artist right now, Laura Bell. I've written a song for her, and she's going to be performing it. And she's going to be she's performed Homegrown as well, and she's just a fantastic, very passionate country singer, and great voice, great everything. She has just a great passion about her. And wrote the song for her, and she was really into it. So I'm going to be working on that, too, as a producer over the next year. So I'm just going full speed ahead. The time is now. There's no time to wait anymore.
That's right.
Support your local musicians, please.
Please.
Fantastic. Yeah.
See you at base camp.
See you at
See you at
Homegrown,
Homegrown.
everybody, for sure. And if you like finding out about local music through podcast form, you know what you can do is you can give us a follow at the Underbelly Hours on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Spotify, sorry, I mispronounced that. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Gotcha.
Ox Audio, of course, as well, our fantastic podcasting platform.
Should we also
Got
give a
lots of
shout out
stuff.
to a little event we're having
Yes.
this upcoming
I
weekend?
can't see it.
Oh, it's, whoa.
Yeah, we got a little showcase that we're doing every monthly showcase at Dry City in Wheaton.
Wheaton.
Good old Wheaton. Anyways, and yeah, so this month we got Nick Weisner, Demi Clara solo, so you'll get to hear a little different variety, and there'll be discount tickets for Homegrown at this event too, in case you still need to get your ticket
Get your
in person.
fix, yeah.
You can come on down. This is going to be Saturday at 6, from 6 to 9, and then we have Spooky Boo closing out the
Yes.
night. There'll
With an
be
acoustic set, which is actually super exciting. I haven't done
That's
too many
awesome.
of those.
Right.
And just like Dan said, think of this as your homegrown I can't speak words. Homegrown pregame, okay? Come pregame Homegrown a week before Homegrown at Dry City, all right? Get some tickets too while you're at it, and it's
Yeah.
free.
yeah.
What a thrill to be with you all again.
Yes,
It was great.
I
Thank you.
know. Mm-hmm.
Good to see
Thank
you
you.
guys and see you all on the 31st.
That is right.
See you guys.
Yeah, we will definitely be there as well. So if you see us, come say hey, because we like saying hi to people.
Yeah, we'll be there. Like
Yeah,
all
come
day.
find me because we might have stickers and stuff for you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, this has been another episode of the Underbelly Hours. You're Adela.
You're Dan. We're in your basement. We
Again,
fucked up the
yet
intro-
again. I know.
the ending.
Well, sometimes you just gotta
See you
roll with it
later.
and
That's
mess
true.
it up again.
That's right. Ready? On 3, 2, 1, we're gonna say bye. 3, 2, 1.
Bye.
Are you tired of listening to the same bands over and over again?
Over and over.
Stop listening to what mainstream media chooses for you
You filthy casual.
and try something new. Tune in to the Underbelly Hours every Sunday night at 6 p.m.
On WRSE 88.7 FM.
for exclusive interviews, unreleased content, and more from the depths of Chicago's underground. I'm Adela.
I'm Dan.
Take off your coat and stay a while.
Now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you stream